National Chief Archibald, thank you so much for joining us. You know, earlier this week, you had provided the AFN with a series of demands that, if not met, you saying you would proceed with legal action. Among them, what you were asking was for them to confirm that your suspension had been done without proper authority and that you'd be allowed to continue doing your duties. Have those demands been met?
Well, first of all, my legal team, I think there was an oversight on my part. I don't make demands, I make reasonable requests. And I believe that the legal letter speaks for itself. It does show that they broke the rules under the charter in trying to suspend me. And so we are now waiting for the response from the Assembly of First Nations regional chiefs, who I understand are meeting right now. So it'll be interesting to see what their reply will be. But one thing that I did want to say, you know, Melissa, I've been doing this for 33 years. Previous to the AFN, there's never been a single complaint, 0 complaints about me. And I've always, my whole career, people who know me in Ontario and even across Canada will tell you that I built my career on transparency, accountability, honesty, and truth. And this pattern that I've experienced at the AFN of launching HR investigations, I really hope people see it. They see that there is a real toxic pattern in the organization. And that's really why I'm asking for an independent investigation into the AFN to look at where these toxic patterns are sitting in the organization. How do we clean them out and how do we heal them? And that's what's in my heart and mind. You know, having to go through this as the first woman national chief is really difficult. I mean, I know that these roads that I have made inroads into as a leader and all of the 5 glass ceilings that I have broken in my career, I've always known that those would be difficult processes to have people accept the change in leadership, accept how women do lead, and you know, move forward in a good way with women in leadership. But what's happening to me right now is just really, it's so toxic. It's such lateral violence. It's such misogyny. It's so based in this corporate patriarchal system that the AFN Secretariat is built upon. And so, you know, as I go through this, I'm thinking about all the women out there who are watching. You know, all of the young women, especially the women who have gone before me in leadership. I'm thinking about them. I'm thinking about all the girls behind me who will walk into spaces that other women and myself have opened up for them. And what I'm hoping is that people, particularly the regional chiefs, start to realize that their political attacks on me and this, you know, coup that's happened is really detrimental to the people. It's detrimental to girls and women watching this unfold across Canada.
You know, are you involved in this investigation in any way? I mean, we know it's taking place, they're saying, but what's your involvement in it?
Well, Melissa, the HR investigation is something that I can't comment on because it is a legal process. But what I can tell you is what led up to the investigation. And again, it has to do with my transparency and accountability when it comes to funding that is meant to help our First Nations. And so what happened was in early May, I received a request for $1 million plus payout for staff. And I refused to do it. I felt it was wrong. I felt it was unethical. I felt like, you know, these are public funds that we receive in order to help our people. And for me to just hand that off to others, staff didn't feel right. And so what happened was when I sent that to the CEO, the AFN CEO, to let them know what their rights were, should they leave the organization, that's when everything went sideways. That's when all of this started. And suddenly, you know, there were 4 staff involved. I still don't know the details. I have not received anything in writing. I don't know anything about this investigation. But what I can tell you is that I am participating because you know that I fought so hard for Resolution 13 to make the AFN a safe place for women and 2SL people. And, you know, I got into a lot of hot water when I spoke out against the pushback against that resolution. I spoke out in favor of it. I called out the National Chief of the day, and shortly after that, this first investigation was launched. So it seems like there's a pattern here that every time I call for accountability, when I call for change, when I call for positive change, I call for us to look into and investigate things, some kind of HR investigation is launched. Like, there's a really unhealthy, toxic pattern, and we have to clean it up.
I just wanted to get some clarification so that the money that kind of raised flags for you, is this for for contracts for certain people? Is it regular payroll things? Was it bonuses on top of what people are being paid? Can you give us any sort of insight into what was it that flagged this for you?
Yeah, I can't tell you the details of that because it precluded it. Was sort of what led into the current HR investigation, but it will all come out. I will be sharing that information, and I have been sharing that information with chiefs. I did share it in an in-camera session with the Chiefs of Ontario, and unfortunately somebody recorded that confidential report I was making to the chiefs, and they shared it with the media. I have an obligation as a national chief to let chiefs know when I am seeing dangerous things happening. And this is a real danger to our sovereignty. It's a danger to moving the yardstick forward for First Nations. If there's corruption within the AFN, if there's collusion happening, then that needs to be cleaned up. And I have to tell the chiefs that. It's a part of my oath to tell them the truth and to give them confidential information. Mm-hmm. But when that is shared out, that's when things started to really get difficult for me, because then the AFN executive actually tried to say that I didn't have the right to tell chiefs about some of the problems at the AFN, which is totally untrue. I am obligated as national chief to tell the truth and to tell of things that I'm seeing. And so you'll notice, Melissa, that I've started to wear my headdress in different interviews, because when I'm wearing this headdress, it is my connection to the Creator and my connection to truth. And so I have to be able to speak that truth. At the same time, there are legal matters that I know I can't comment on at this time, but I know the truth will come out, Melissa. I know that the truth will be revealed about corruption at the AFN. And the other thing too is everybody knows about this. People know that there has been long-standing problems at the AFN financially, corrupt-wise, contract-wise. People are aware of it. There have been payouts to regional chiefs for things on top of their salary in the past, and there was one payout of $20,000 to a regional chief. And I think that the forensic audit will reveal that, the forensic audit into contracts and staff payouts. Mm-hmm. It'll show what some of these problems are. Like the forensic audit it is really to look at those two things specifically. Mm-hmm. It's not an overall organizational forensic audit, because that could take forever. It's specifically to look at these two matters that I know we've continued to have problems with.
The annual General Assembly is a little over a week away. We'd seen a draft resolution calling for you to be removed from office and a new election to be called. What do you make of that, and what are you expecting at the AGA?
I'm definitely attending the AGA. The regional chiefs don't have the ability under the charter to actually ban me from attending. In fact, they don't have the right to actually even suspend me. And so that's what we're going to reveal more about in the coming days. Now, in terms of that resolution, it has been ruled out of order. The AFN Secretariat itself, they will tell you that they've done a legal review of this resolution on putting aside the election, and it's not correct. There's a period where you can appeal the election, and it's 2 weeks after the election. You have that time to appeal and say, I think that there's been some problems with the election, and nobody did that. And now suddenly suddenly, almost a year later, it's coming forward. And you have to wonder, why is that? It's because I keep digging, Melissa. I keep asking these hard questions. I keep finding things that I am questioning and calling out as corruption in the AFN. And a lot of the things that have been happening to me are about silencing me. And particularly, you know, I just wanted to say again, as the first woman national chief, I yet again made, you know, ironically, another history by being the first national chief to purportedly be suspended, or to have somebody try to suspend me. But, you know, the other thing about being a woman in leadership is that it's a different style of leadership. I have a different way of approaching the issues, and most of the old boys don't understand that. They're used to a certain kind of centralization of power, and the national chief, you know, taking all the credit for all the work that's happening. I don't do that. I know that Regional Chief Cindy Woodhouse did great work on the AIP. I know that Regional Chief Gerald Antoine did great work on the papal visit and continues to do great work. So anytime regional chiefs are doing this great work, I'm holding them up, I'm lifting them up. And the other thing about being an assertive and strong woman is you're often accused of bullying.
Right.
You know, when a man is strong, oh, he's got good leadership. Oh, he's really great. When a woman is strong, no, we can't have that. She's a bully. Yeah. And so the misogyny within the AFN is real. There's a real patriarchal, colonial, corporate agenda that's happening within the AFN. And that's what I've been talking about that has to change. You know, one of the things that somebody said to me is, why do you want to dissolve the AFN Secretariat? Well, it's not just that. It's about creating a new structure that is based in our culture, our language, our traditions, our 7 sacred teachings. And so when a person is encased in a structure that is healthy, then they behave healthy. If a person is encased in a colonial, patriarchal, corporate system, then they behave corporately. And so we need a new structure. The 200 staff that have been doing amazing work at the AFN will simply be moved into the new structure. It's not about like, you all have to go, because that's absolutely not acceptable. It's about creating a healthier structure from which they can do amazing work, even better work than they're doing now, if you can believe it.
Well, none of the things that you're saying right now, none of this is new. This has dogged the AFN for a long time, those exact complaints that you just made. Well, we're going to watch for the AGA that's coming up and see how this all rolls out. We thank you for taking the time today to kind of explain your version of it. I know it's busy and it's not an easy position to be in, but we really do appreciate your time.
Thank you. And if I could just reiterate, my objective is healing. You know, my platform was called The Healing Path Forward, and I know it's a difficult time and people are concerned about what's happening at the AFN, but this is about healing, cleaning, making it a better place. And I know we'll get there together, but we have to work together for sure. Miigwech, Melissa, I appreciate your time too.